see that first of all, he talks about things that we should put effort into doing about our character, our treatment, our behavior. And then he's going to go to the Trinity and the work of our triune God in salvation to show that there is a deep theological reality that is the grounds for our unity. We'll get there in a moment. But first, look at verse 2. As he's calling on them to live with this oneness in our midst. And of course, some of the background here is the Jew-Gentile political, racial, ethnic sort of tensions that were going on at the background. We don't hear anywhere that it was exploding in Ephesus, although the Jews did attack Paul, he says. So there's this background theme that he's been addressing the last couple of chapters about God reconciling in one man, Jew and Gentile, into the church. There's that, but we can extend that, of course. There would have been slaves and slave owners at that time in history. There would have been men and women who had different standings in society. There would have been the poor and the rich, the employer and the employed, the disenfranchised and the wealthy. There's all these reasons why people would not be unified together. And here's Paul calling them to make an effort into unity. And again, even before we get there, unity has sort of been a buzzword in a lot of churches for decades, right? It was sort of the grounds on which the uniting church in Australia in the 70s, some Methodists, Presbyterians, Congregationalists, they sort of joined arms and went, let's sort of erase the distinctions of theology that we have so that we can be one. And that's how a lot of people sort of think over the last decades. If they make the big peace, love, unity, tolerance, no distinction sort of battle cries, and we want to be unified. The big sort of theme and what they're assuming and what they're saying without saying, and sometimes they are saying it by explicitly saying it, is let's be one, so ignore theology. Let's not define things too tightly lest we disagree. So let's just ignore theology, smooth over those differences and pretend to be one, and eventually we will be one. And how's that gone? Uniting church, what flags are they waving these days? But here's the point, without flinging mud, here's the point, is that the way that Paul has just defined, or the way that Paul just commanded our obedience and our walk, the very way he did that undermines any idea of unity that is not theologically defined. In other words, in verse 1, he says, walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called. Some people want to read that as if it just says, live a walk that is worthy. Go on, do it. Be unified and the like. But what he says is, walk in a manner worthy of the calling. So to even have that unity, to even be walking in the manner that is worthy, you need to be able to define. You need to be able to study. You need to be able to theologically, exegetically, hermeneutically understand what is the calling. It's impossible to have unity or any kind of walking that is worthy of our calling unless we have first done the hard work of defining theologically what that calling is. You cannot gain unity by ignoring theology. Rather, unity comes from correct theology.